I reach down to get my bag and I notice, bitch, you don't got your bag. Like, where is your bag? You ever just think to yourself, like, wow, I'm like wild stupid. Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Obi and you're watching Hey Obi. I was just thinking about my life and I was just like, this is a joke. Clearly, it has to be a joke because every time I go somewhere, something happens. So definitely stay tuned if you're interested in hearing how this taxi driver stole my things. This whole story began when the whole story. This whole story began when I had to go to a city not too far from mine. I live in Jeju. I had to go to Liaoyang to visit my friend, and there was supposed to be this big international fireworks show. For those of you who don't know, Liaoyang is, I believe, the world's like highest exporter of fireworks, so there's this huge show. It happens every 2 years. We just happen to be here when it's happening. So my friend who lives in the city, she was just like, hey, come over and we'll see the show. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm about to go. I got on the bus and I head on over to her city. I'm super excited. There's supposed to be some other friends of ours coming. It's supposed to be just this big like group trip. So I was super, we're just pumped. Like we're like, okay, we're about to get the hotel. We're about to go to the show, like go downtown, see what there is to see in the city. Get off of the bus, right? I mean, for those of you who are familiar, there's a bunch of taxi drivers who kind of just like stand at the bus station and they wait for people to come. They're assuming that they need a taxi when they touch down, so it's easy to just get business there. So they just wait. And typically when they see me in particular, because there's a certain energy that they don't bring when they're trying to get like a Chinese customer, but when they see my brown face and they're just like, oh yeah, let's, obviously because I'm a foreigner and I guess they assumed that they could get more money out of me and everything like that. So we were there was the taxi guys, everyone's coming off the bus, the taxi people are like kind of waving like, oh, come here, come here, come here, come here, blah, blah, blah. There's this one guy and he's, once he sees me and he's kind of just like, oh yes, I want her. So he's just like, oh, come, come, come. And he walks me over to go get my bag. So I get my bag and I tell him like where I want to go and everything like that. And, we're putting my bags inside the car and I'm thinking I'm the only one. When I get in, I notice that there's another guy there. And I'm just like, okay, I guess. The guy, he also sees me and he's kind of like, oh, like there's another person. So then he asked the taxi driver how much it would cost to go to his destination, right? And the taxi driver said a number. The guy was like, nah. So he gets out. And I'm just like, okay, chill. Like now it's just me. So I asked him the same thing because I know he's about to pull off, and I was like, wait a minute, we never really agreed on a price. So he tried to give me some other price too, and I already asked my friend though, like how much should I pay in the taxi? He said some number that was like way over that. So I was just like, nah. So I get out of the car too, right? So when I get out though, I got out so fast that I didn't even realize that my stuff was still in the trunk. My things are still in this man's trunk, right? I get out and I stand on the curb and I'm like on my phone. They have Didi here, which is basically like Chinese Uber. So I was trying to book myself a Didi. And the guy was like waiting there and he looked at me and then he made a Yui. He just busted a Yui hella fast, went back in to try to get more people because I guess he was like, well, the other customers are leaving, so let me just try to go in there and try to get more people. So I'm standing there on the curb. I still don't realize that I don't have my bag. This entire time, I don't realize that I don't have my bag. And I'm booking my car, waiting for the car to come. And literally the car gets there and, I'm about to get in. And I reach out to get my bag and I notice, bitch, you don't got your bag. Like, where is your bag? So I was like, yo, it's still in the other taxi. It's still in the trunk of the other taxi, right? Okay, so I, at this point, this is like really early on. I don't really know like too much Chinese. I don't know how to tell this guy because he was basically like, all right, close the door, like, let's go. I was trying to tell him after I realized what happened that he should leave and go pick up someone else. I felt bad because I was like, dang, like you drove all the way over here to pick me up, but I'm not leaving this place until I have my things, you know. Which I get across to him through like via messaging apps and stuff like that. Like, dude, I my bag is not here. And he was like, oh, okay. So he takes me back inside the like bus station where they dropped us off, and I guess he's thinking that my bag is inside of the bus still, right? So I'm sure he's looking at me like, yo, you mad stupid, like why didn't you get yourself on the bus? So he goes to ask somebody to open the bus, like the underneath compartment of the bus, to get my bag out. When I realized what he's doing, I'm like, oh, no, 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 like it's in another taxi. So I was like trying to tell him for like the longest, like it's in another taxi. So he was just like, what? And I'm just like pointing to the trunk, trying to like look up the word for trunk, like so I can say like it's in the trunk in Chinese. But yeah, pretty much going back and forth. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Finally, he understands. So he was just like, okay, let's go. So I'm like, let's go. No, like I'm not leaving, you know? I was like, I'm not leaving because, you know, I was like, well, what if he comes back or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he translated for me in the app. It was something along the lines of, you're not getting your bag back. Like, it's gone. Let's go. And I was just like, sir, what? Like, what do you mean I'm not getting my bag back? Like, so he was like, there's the taxi driver doesn't know that I'm here and therefore he's not going to come back. So I'm just like, well, I need my things. And the taxi driver was kind of just like, why are you ODing right now, I guess? Because he just was a little too laid back in the situation. And I guess, you know, because it's my things, I was like getting more like riled up because I was like, yo, I'm supposed to be here for the weekend. And I don't have any things. Like, I don't live here. I mean, it was just my clothes. Honestly, it wasn't anything really important. But he was like, oh, what's in your bag? And I mean, I didn't tell him like nothing important, but I was just like, everything's in my bag. I was just like trying to put emphasis like everything, everything. And he was like, okay. I didn't really have any like real plan, honestly, but I was like, well, maybe he might come back. Like, I'm just wait it out. Maybe there's other buses come in and, you know, he's going to drop the person off and try to come back and get more fares. So I was like, I think my best bet would just be like to chill out here and try to wait and see if the guy comes back. After he said like, I am not going to get my bag back, then I was just so frustrated that I actually like started crying. Like literally it was just like tears. Literally, I swear to you, um, not that you should use your tears for bad, but once he saw that I started crying, he was just like, okay, we're gonna take you to the police. So I was just like, I need my bag. I need, blah, blah. And then he was just like, we're going to the police. I'm just like, okay, let's go to the police. So we went to the police. The police had to call someone else who spoke English. The police officer was telling the wife, and then the wife was telling me, you know, they were just asking me different questions. And so we're just going back and forth. It's like, what time? Where was it? Blah, blah, you know, all the stuff the police ask. So I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I don't know. My friend is texting me like, where are you? I thought you said that you got to the bus station. I was expecting you like, you know, how long ago? Are you lost? What's up, basically? Because I also didn't message her because I didn't want to like, I don't know. I didn't want anybody to get all worked up because I was already all worked up. And yeah, they bring me inside and they tell me to have a seat and they just go to work on the computer, click, clack, clack, whatever, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, looks legit, sounds legit. I mean, I don't know what's going on. They actually pull up the security cameras in the area and they're like going through like different points. And I'm just like, oh, that's it. That's the one right there. So I point to the camera and he was like, okay, cool. So then they put in the time that they believe that, you know, the incident happened. And they're like rewinding, going forward, rewinding, whatever. And I see it and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is where it happened. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we got the footage. They know what happened. They saw it, and they were like, So I was like, okay, we're making progress. Progress is always a good thing. They're trying to figure out the guy's plate number. But the way that he made the turn, he did it so that, not saying that this is intentional, but the way that he made the turn, it was so that, like, you couldn't see the plate when he turned. Like, no matter how imagine they replayed the video over and over and over again to try to get his plates, and I had to sit there and watch myself get out of the car over and over and over again and leave my things. I was just like, literally so annoyed. Literally so annoyed. You have no idea how annoyed I was. Just like watching myself do this over and over and over again. I was just like, yo, Obi, you mad stupid. You ever just think to yourself like, wow, I'm like wild stupid. Yeah. And then they put it up on like the bigger screens to try to get it, and nothing was working. So I'm sitting there, maybe about an hour in, I would say, like about an hour into me just chilling at the station. Boom, somebody comes in and he's just like saying something. I mean, I don't really understand Chinese like that, like I said, but I understood that, they found the bag. Like, so I was like, cool, like, cool, copy, cool, like, we chilling. I know I just gotta wait for my things. About 30 minutes later, I see a taxi pull in to the station, and then I also see like the lights following it. So the cop car was like following the taxi back to the station. And it come in, and lo and behold, it's this crazy taxi driver who was trying to rip me off. And yeah, he comes in, he's smiling or whatever. He has the bag, like, oh, look, I got your bag. And, he gives it to me, and I'm like, oh, thank you. And the police officers are just like kind of like hovering over him, the taxi guy. And they're like telling me, like, open the bag. So, to like check it, like check the bag. And so I opened it, and, obviously my things were still there. There's honestly nothing in there to really steal. And if he did steal my stuff, I'd be looking at him like, why are you stealing some clothes? Like, it was literally just like clothes and shoes and toiletries. It's like a weekend bag. It's an overnight bag. So there was really nothing in there of like value. Thank God I had my passport, on me. I always keep my passport on me. Check that. This is where it gets real rich. So basically, after this whole situation, we're taking pictures. They like want to take pictures of like me with the bag, and it's like this whole moment, like, yeah, we did it. Like, we helped the foreigner girl. And I guess for maybe their social media or like WeChat or whatever, but they want to take pictures. So I was like, oh, I want to take pictures too. So that is where this photo came from. And yeah, that was definitely a night to remember, because things were just escalating super fast. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. That night was crazy. And then after all said and done, basically the taxi driver was kind of like motioning to me, like, come on, let's go. Like, I'll take you kind of thing. And I was just like, nigga, please. Like, no, you're not. I'm not going with you anywhere. Yeah, I guess finally they were just like, what are you still doing here, to the taxi guy? And they kicked him out of the station. So he had to leave. And the police officers, I was getting ready to book another like DD, and the police officers were just like, we'll take you to the school. So I was just like, yes, I get escorted to the school too. Like, now I don't have to pay for a taxi, period. That's great. So that is the story of how the taxi driver tried to steal my things. This man stole from me. He stole from me. He saw that I did not have my bag. He knew that my bag was in the trunk, and he proceeded to pop a Yui and go back inside without giving it to me. Trust and believe. If I had taken this ride with him, and if he noticed, like they just be peeping stuff. So if he noticed I did not have my bag, he would have called me back to the car and been like, and he would have popped the trunk himself. Because it wasn't like he didn't like pop the trunk and be like, oh, like motion to the trunk, like, girl, get your things. But if I had spent that money with, there's been other times where I was in the store browsing around and I put my phone down because I was picking up something else. I don't know. It's anybody else as absent-minded as I am, because honestly, if my head wasn't attached to my body at times, I swear I would lose that too. But I basically put my phone down to pick up something else, and I walk away, but I don't pick up my phone again. I realized later on that my phone was not with me, and I go back to the store, and the woman or the person, the shopkeeper, is like motioning like, oh, your stuff, your stuff. So not to say that money is like the only incentive for people to be nice to you, but it certainly does help, because honestly, she could have easily been like, oh no, like you ain't leave it here. I don't know what phone you're talking about. Like, sis, what phone? Especially because it's an iPhone. Like, iPhones in China are super expensive. So you best believe, and it's a 7. It's not like the newest one, but you could get some good money for a 7. But that is the story of how this guy tried to steal my things. I got it back, thank God. Got an interesting picture out of it. Definitely one of those things that I never would have thought would have happened to me. But, things happen every day, B. So it is what it is. And yes, this is the first of many story times that will be on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe. Like, it's free. Why not? And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Bye. Bye. Okay, fair. Bye.